Right?
Yeah.
Let's do it. You guys ready?
Gentlemen.
Gentlemen, it is time.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Okay, I need this.
It's smooth, which is
That's
good for it.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
you guys keep talking
Yeah.
about the beer. I'm just gonna keep drinking it.
So actually, let's actually start off. What are you drinking, Justice?
And you're
This
gonna
is
drink.
from Athletic Brewing Company. They sent it as a gift.
Did they?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Super
It's
nice.
good.
That's fantastic. Yeah,
I like it.
I like that
I'd
the
like to
non-alcohol
try it
beer
sometime,
options
yeah.
are there more now. You remember the joke was like all you had was O'Doul's
Yeah, that's all I know.
in the corner of the liquor store.
Yeah.
Now there's more to choose from, which
So
is great.
many more.
Well, at the bar I used to work at, the only non-alcoholic one we had was O'Doul's. Everything else
Yeah,
was obviously
exactly.
regular
Yeah.
beer.
That
Exactly.
I can't like O'Doul's is a non-alcoholic. Like St. Pauli Girl is also like a non-alcoholic.
Maybe.
Yeah, it was definitely more
Yeah.
than I realized.
That's
but
all. Yeah,
definitely.
that's.
I would probably prefer to drink that.
Yeah.
Oh, just from the look of the can, I want to drink that
Exactly.
one,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
way much
Can, it's
more.
a good looking can. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, we're gonna bring it back to you guys. So welcome to another episode of Beers and Bells. Very glad to have you. Thank you for watching. And we have a very special guest today. I'm very excited. We were messaging back and forth for a little while. It's a busy, very busy person here training, and we see your videos crushing it outside with the kettlebell workouts and just getting after it, which I love. And but without further ado, this is Coach Justice. Justice, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah,
Can't complain. Yeah.
there we go.
Can't complain.
Awesome.
We got beer. We got beer in our
Yeah.
hands. It's a nice warm day.
Yeah,
It's nice out.
it is nice out.
Yeah.
It's a little too hot over there, but right,
Yeah, that's
right
why
here's
we're trying to hide
Right
the
here
shade.
is nice. Yeah.
This is good. But yeah, Justice, basically, if you just wanted to kind of start off, you can tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and what you're about.
So I'll begin with my pronouns: he, him, his.
Mhm.
And
Thank you for
basically-
saying that, by the way. Yeah, I was wondering.
It's cool. Basically, what I do is I'm a training coach and I'm a body activist. And I believe that we have learned, in a world that kind of molded us with toxic messaging about what bodies should look like, feel like, be like, move like. And it doesn't celebrate, how diverse bodies are and the diverse abilities bodies can have, And so the work that I do is to really I meet people where they're at and basically, negotiate, conversate with them, build a relationship as a trainer and a coach with their bodies and have them see themselves differently. I feel like I help them polish their armor so that they're able to step out and work against, a world that needs more conversations like
Yeah.
this. You know what I mean?
I like
feel
that. Polish their arm.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It's silence, I will always say we in a church, right? But we don't go outside the church and have these conversations. So now is the time, I guess. Right? So I'm a coach, an activist. I do this thing called the Queer Pop-Up Gym. It started in Boston before the pandemic. And it really was creating a space where all bodies are celebrated, where they don't feel any shame and they're able to be in their most vulnerable place and build with the community around them, because we're not like throwing toxic ideologies. Like we really focus on working from love and working from a space where we honor and respect ourselves and our bodies. And so it grew. They
Holy
did
shit.
an NPR. They did an NPR thing on. It went like local NPR, then it went to like national NPR.
Wow.
And then
Big leagues.
I started to get calls from other people. Currently, they're filming. I don't know what they're doing, a documentary, I guess. It's supposed to be about the queer gym, but they're doing it about the work that I've been doing for a very long time. So I've always been an activist, not just in
Wow.
the fitness world, but just like all around, because oppression happens, right? And it's a cycle,
Mhm.
and it's really about opening up and having the conversations we wouldn't normally have and feeling uncomfortable at times.
Yeah.
We were always comfortable. You know what I mean?
The uncomfortable ones are the important ones.
Right.
Cheers. Cheers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's
That was
That's amazing. That's the best opening we've ever had.
yeah.
that's
It's
for
not
sure.
very often. I don't. It's not very
I
often.
was-
I'm like speechless.
I know. I was
Dude,
looking at it,
I
like,
got
what do we say?
I got nothing. I got nothing. So we're good. All right. I got nothing.
And
no. All right. No. Gem of an episode already.
absolutely.
Man, that was
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you have a question? Okay. I guess one of my questions, just to go off of that, would be, would you? Is it more often that you get people that have never worked out or never even thought about trying to get in shape just because of how out of shape they may be, where you get a lot of first timers per se because you kind of talk them into maybe indirectly trying to get in shape? So like just people who have never even touched a dumbbell or walked into a gym. Would you say those are more the people that you work with?
I think that those people honor me with their journey around fitness.
Mhm.
You know, but I work with, you know, anyone,
Right.
to be honest. But it's funny because no matter where I go, I end up with those, you know, significantly, because I'm not trying to sell anybody fitness. I just talk to them about their journey and how they feel and how they want to feel. And in those conversations, I'm honored to be a part, you know, because we're in our most vulnerable place when we're in fitness, when we're in gyms. You know what I mean? Because we're fighting against ideologies that's been bombarded in all minds. Not just everybody has this image of what beauty's supposed to be or what an athlete's supposed to look like. But it's not diverse. It's not inclusive. It's not inclusive of all abilities. It's not inclusive of all body shapes, sizes. So
Love this.
the reality is that, you know, people connect to people who will honor, you know, and like remind them to love themselves no matter what the world is like telling them, right? And so I normally get connected with those clients that, you know, where I'm able to create a space for them in places like I worked in the box gyms, and my clients was just like, yo, I normally wouldn't come in here, but yo, you're like amazing, because I meet them at the door. I deflect the toxicity. I don't have them looking at all of the bodies that lies to them about what an athletic body should be. And we begin from the ground up and talk about what they want their journey to look like. And then I make sure that I'm a part of their journey. You know what I mean? Because their journey doesn't have to happen with me. It can happen without me, you know. And so it's really important that people are able to understand and navigate in those ways.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I can only imagine that, like, I don't know, someone who just never worked out before somehow stumbles across one of your videos or quotes or what have you, and like where you're the main reason where they actually decided to have the courage to either reach out to you specifically or just get in the gym in general. Or beforehand, if they didn't even know who you were or hear about what you're about, they may have just continued to go on and not try to get into fitness, try to get into their own kind of fitness. So that's great that you probably unlocked the door for a lot of people, you know, more than you probably even realize. So I think that's very admirable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely open that door and allowing people to be vulnerable in a place where it's
Right, because they're the people who need it most, obviously.
yeah.
So
Because
that's
like,
awesome.
I've said before, like that's also what I love about our job, like doing what we do. It's just like and I feel like it's something you can relate to as well. It's just like I enjoy this field because it's fun. It's fun for me making someone feel comfortable in a realm where they previously felt uncomfortable. Where it's like you kind of take them with it. As you can say, it's like you phrased it way better than I can do it at the moment, but like you're a part of their journey. Like so you don't forget it, like it's their journey. We're just kind of there, helping them with it. You know what I mean? It's never like, nope, you're gonna come with, nope, you have to do these discoveries on your own, and I'm just here with you.
Right.
It's a really fun part. I'm doing again. Cheers.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's
like they're the protagonists. You're just like kind of like the background character, helping them out.
The map quest.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
I try to go tweak your thing a little bit, but yeah, same idea. Right. So that's great. Marco, anything from you?
fantastic.
Yeah, I again, that's a heck of an opener. I love that. I can tell that you've obviously you've personally experienced a lot of this, so it's very personal to you, it's very special to you, and I know that it's there's a heavy emotional component with helping others navigate this and everything. And I'm going to give a shout out to Phil Scarito, because that's actually how I found out about you, was when you guys did your talk together. And the stuff that you just mentioned now, as well as when you went into in depth with him, it was definitely eye-opening for me. And you mentioned things that I will 100% admit I have never thought about ever, and I'll definitely admit that. And it was, and I like that. I like like Tommy said, the uncomfortable conversations are the important ones to have. But it's good to listen and learn from other people. So I know you talked a little bit about with Phil, but what are some things that are like really glaringly obvious to you, like when you step into your typical gym that is kind of that toxic kind of mindset and advertising that you see, for instance?
So I believe that, when we all think about fitness, we think about athletic bodies, we think about fitness as thin, muscular, in these ways that don't truly explain, fitness is connected to our wellness. It's not, training is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Training for a sport, training for this. But fitness is a relationship that we have with our bodies, right? And that's connected to our wellness, right? How we move. And when I think about walking into gyms, right, I think about seeing what people would identify as athletic, thin, muscular is the new, the new pretty or whatever. When I walk in a gym, I would like to see diverse bodies, like all types of bodies, come here and celebrate, And so it begins with your media, it begins with, your ideology, like your ideology base. And this is real, it's everybody's truth. Sometimes I'm scrambling around and I'm like, no, that's not the truth. This idea that I learned about beauty, or this idea that I learned about being an athlete, or this idea that I learned about my body and my body shape is not true, right? And so, less of that, more diverse and inclusive. People say it's as simple as you walk into the door and someone greets you, but we can all greet someone, right? That's like typical. But can you accept and understand that this person's body is amazing, right, and powerful, right, and deserves the same thing as an athlete that you have in your idea, right?
I love that answer. You're like, we're asking what could at best be maybe a second or third level of depth question, and then you're going like 7 or 8 levels deep. So I love that. I think that's amazing. And it reminds me, I'm breaking the number one rule here, so I'm gonna get beat up for this, but it reminds me of Brad Pitt and Edward Norton on on the bus, and it's is that what a real man looks like in Fight Club? I'm sure you've seen it. And it's serious. All jokes aside, it's true. We're being sold this image that we are supposed to look like, and I'm gonna be honest, Sean probably more so than us do for sure, but no, I'm just kidding. But most people don't look like that normally, right? And it's definitely a very distorted view of quote unquote fitness, and it's so I 100% agree with that. So
I think it mostly comes down to, like, if you take on a new client who tells you their goals of being like, oh, I want to drop 100 pounds, whatever. Obviously, that if you want to do that, that's fine, of course. But like, in the back of your mind that along the way of getting them to learn how to move properly and do certain movements they've never done before, that they may kind of not forget about that goal, but not care about it as much, because once they start to feel like they're doing hard work, and maybe losing a little bit of weight, but maybe they have knee pain and they don't have it anymore. It's like they care more about that stuff and just getting stronger instead of like
absolutely
that ideal body you're talking about that you see in a magazine or whatever, or in the movies, So I feel like we as coaches know that that's more likely going to happen when you take on a new client, where their goals, but you're thinking like, okay, that is important to you, but I guarantee you're also just going to fall in love with being able to move and do things that aren't necessarily, like I said, look.
Like it's our job to see between the lines.
Exactly. Yeah, and
Like,
that's
this
why
is what
that's
you're
why I come to
saying,
us in the first place. Right. Yeah.
It's like I see what you're saying. That is. I'm now seeing like this. Either your meaning behind what you're actually saying.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's like that's up to us to kind of either poke it out of them, or like kind of just like
Right.
say it like you got to,
Yeah.
or just to kind of like know it and allow them to discover it through exercise or movement and realize like no, you're feeling better now, aren't you?
Right.
Because it's
Yeah.
it's cliche to say it. Like people will forget what you said to them, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Exactly. Yeah.
Same concept with like I kind of
Very
approach the
true.
gym and training in the same concept. Kind of like what they're saying that these are goals. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And if we get to the goals that they say, that's also going to be fantastic, and they'll remember that. But if they feel like crap when they hit their goals, they're still going to remember.
True. Yeah. But one of my favorite stories, just to go off of that, is from one of your clients that you tell this often.
Yeah.
Remember when? So one of DeMarco's clients, and I'll let you take over. When she saw another person deadlifting, remember?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So my client, I've mentioned her a million times. I love her, Melissa. Shout out, love you so much. Super strong. But yeah, she came in
push-ups the other day.
and
That-
yeah, and like
Strong.
like a lot of people, there's kind of the initial like, oh, I want to lose weight, get skinny. You know, you hear those
vague terms.
you hear you hear those goals, and you're like, all right, cool. Let's not to say we're not going to work on that, but let's get you moving well, get the mobility, core, get the core stronger, get your hips and upper back mobile and all that stuff. And I'll never forget this moment. We were deadlift. We had just started barbell deadlifting. She was training for the tactical strength challenge. We were super pumped about it. Unfortunately, due to COVID, it didn't happen. But that's okay. It's all good. Not to say we won't do it in the future. But so we were deadlifting, and she was killing it. Like her deadlifts looked fantastic. It was like a very minor tweak we had to make, but she was moving very well with the barbell, and I was super fired up. And then she was definitely feeling strong lifting the weight, which was awesome. And then she saw Tao, shout out to Titan Tao, who's been on the show, who's also a powerlifter and very strong. She could pick all four of us up at the same time, probably. But she was deadlifting and warming up.
Go very high.
Yeah, she was doing like 275 for like 3 sets of 3 or something, just like impressive. And I remember she got done, and Melissa looked over and said, damn, I want to be strong like Tao one day. And I looked over and I said, me too. I was like, I do too.
I want to be like Tao when I grow up.
So it was definitely like obviously like fat loss didn't go away as the goal, but it definitely the conversation definitely changed to let's get strong, move well, but then of course still work on body composition changes. So it's really cool when she trains and she feels good, and they leave the session feeling good.
Yeah.
Versus like the joke about like dodgeball, like you beat up your client and leave them in a sweaty mess, like
And I think coming into the industry, we all well maybe not all of us, but maybe thought that that's how we had to operate.
Oh sure, there's so many
I
stereotypes.
mean, I'm
yeah.
only 3 years in for the most part, 3.5-ish, but I can tell you early on that my focus shifted.
Yeah.
To more of what we're talking about now.
Definitely.
Because that's just who I am as a person. I believe working with anybody to get them to enjoy fitness. Instead of it, like I don't need all the athletes to come in. I'll take anybody that wants to work with me. And I think that's how it should be.
I think that's awesome. So you obviously do a lot of really cool stuff, Justice. So you have a fitness business, and then do you train obviously when there's not COVID going on? Were you training out of a studio? Were you like renting studio space?
Yeah,
or?
I was running space in Brookline.
Okay.
4.
Nice.
Oh, were you?
Actually, with Tony.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to go back in the winter.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Obviously, a great time to go.
I would say so, yeah.
These outdoor kettlebell workouts get tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm working there. I'm also working at Fitness Together in Charlestown. So.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's great.
That's a chain, right? There's one of those.
Franchise.
Franchise.
There's
That's what I mean. Yeah, sorry.
There's one in Medford and a couple other places.
That's right.
The Arlington, so yeah, they're all like privately owned, but they're all franchise. They all like under the same moniker.
I know the Medford one because it's across the street from Nappies.
Oh, that's what I'm
Really
saying.
good Italian for that.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah.
So-
And then go ahead.
I was going to go back to like your training and your clientele, but we can loop back around. We're talking about like where you
Yeah.
train and how
Yeah.
you
So
operate.
you train out of those two places, and then do you do like virtual, like online training with people, anything like that?
Yeah, I do online training. I do some kettlebell classes. I do
Awesome.
class on Saturdays in partnership with Body Positive Boot Camp, and then I do my own on Sunday mornings. Just a class with a couple of my clients that couldn't really afford it one-on-one, but I give them one-on-one treatment because it's really about feeling good and feeling strong in the right ways, right? You can all pick something up and put it down, but feeling the right things through the work makes you feel more than strong. It makes you feel powerful, like you feel real good, And so I believe that I want each one of my clients to have that individual vibe, like we treat our best client.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
The best client in front of us.
So
It's just right there. It's right there.
Just about to say that.
Yeah. Like I found myself with my clients, and anytime we typically get a new client where they're really self-conscious being on the floor, because we worked in a big box gym. We've been in the box gym for my whole career, your whole career, most of your career.
Good portion, yeah.
Where it's tough to not have your clients compare to others. So, is there a specific approach? So for me, I tell my clients look, comparison is the thief of joy. Just pay attention to yourself. Start comparing other things doesn't make any sense. You can compare apples and oranges, but do you really want to? You shouldn't. So I tell my clients that comparison is a thief of joy. So how do you approach that when you find someone kind of getting into that, for lack of a better word, spiral?
Good question.
I remind them what they did yesterday, and then the day before yesterday, and then I remind them in a way of not saying, "Oh, well, yesterday you were weaker." I was like, "Nah, yesterday you weren't where you are today."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And each day is a celebration, and I don't want you to take that away from yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yesterday was yesterday.
I think because we have these specific standards that we've been driven and that we learn, right? We're supposed to be this strong. We're supposed to lift this way. I feel like, when I have a journey with my clients, I say that your journey is the most powerful journey there is, right? Because we're here together in this moment, right? And there's always power in the moment. We're always celebrating. We're always laughing. We're always, you know what I mean?
Focusing on the field.
Yeah. And I'm going to be honest. And I say, what are you comparing yourself to? I'm like, they're not laughing. They're not celebrating.
Yeah.
They look kind of angry. You know what I mean?
You see it.
Why would you want your journey to be like that, right? It's that brings you in each day, right? When you see faces like that, sometimes people don't come back, because they're frustrated. They're thinking that their body's not doing something that it's not supposed to do, and that's not true, right? So I celebrate each movement, right? A mistake is just learning how to do it right.
That sounds a lot like a lot of. So I read Bruce Lee's biography, probably about 10 years ago now, and a lot of what you said is a lot of what he was about, celebrating the art of movement and the whole people joke about it, but being like water and adapting. Water when it's poured into a container, it adapts the container.
Yeah.
And
a cup is the cup. You add water to it.
Yeah.
It becomes the cup.
It becomes the cup. Yeah. So that's amazing. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, usually, but just to put some into perspective, usually I don't shut up. I haven't spoken very much today, so just want to put that into perspective.
We're all very talkative people, but I think we enjoy listening to you
We're
talk
very
so
talkative
much.
people.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I'm getting
You guys probably more than myself, yes, but the fact that we're often speechless at the end of certain things that you say just speaks volumes about what you just said. So it's kind of cool.
Absolutely.
It's like we have questions and it's still sitting there I don't know, but it's still kind of resonating, pulling through my head.
Yeah.
So wait, and it's like I allow my head to go a few levels. I'm like, oh wait, no, we're recording. Hold on.
And that's the first time that's happened. So
You've had at least 7 moments where you straight up could have grabbed that mic, dropped it, and walked away. And we'd be like, "Cool, bro, good episode."
The first opening, the opening, we were like, "All right, guys, well."
That's why I was like, "Oh,
have a good day. See you next
We
week."
deleted thank you very much.
Yeah. We can't beat that. Have a good week.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh man.
So I see your videos, and I know you're obviously a big kettlebell guy, and like us, we obviously love kettlebells. Especially during the pandemic, it's been obviously a very versatile training tool. You can do pretty much everything with them.
Lifesaver.
And but what would you say are your like your training philosophies, if you will? Like I know obviously you said you want to celebrate each individual body and give it that individual coach's eye that you focus on. I'll actually take it. So there we go.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, but I know you said you want to really give them that individual look, of course. But what would you say is your training philosophy?
And my training philosophy is that the foundation of everything that I do is rooted in love, right? And that I'm not going to ever have a hyper masculine, aggressive lens. That I'm going to be all of who I am and honor my whole self in each relationship that I build with my clients. And I feel like that's empowering. You know what I mean? It's empowering. Like all of my clients, every last one of them, it doesn't matter if they're queer or not queer, right? Feel uncomfortable, look in the mirror and lie to themselves about who they are. You know what I mean? And have internalized so much negativity, right, that you don't see light, right? So I want there to always be light, whether we're lighting it up, doing some good ass swings, you know what I'm saying? Or
it's my favorite kind of swings.
Heck yeah, man. Some good ass swings, man. I love them.
I mean, park swings are pretty nice. I'm kidding. Wait.
Yeah.
Oh,
but I'm like, whether we're enjoying ourselves just in the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I really don't want people to internalize any negativity around me.
Yeah, they can.
You know what I mean? And so that's really learning. Learning from each client, learning about their bodies, building a relationship with their bodies, seeing how amazing they are, reminding them how amazing they are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And reminding myself, because there's times like I acknowledge, it's like I build, because I acknowledge that even in myself there's doubts, right? That in this world that I look around and I have to remind myself. On the mirror I wrote on this marker, this whiteboard marker, it's like, you are love, right? And love can be hard. You know what I'm saying? Love can be rough, but love is the truth, right? Love is actually the truth, right? So being your whole self, minus the toxic world that we're infected with, is being love, right? And being our truth. So I remind myself so that I'm able to remind others that, and that's part of the journey.
Wow, that's man.
I feel like we're only almost half hour in. I feel like there's a book of quotes we could write.
Yeah,
just off of
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love your focus on in the moment. That's these guys are gonna slap me when I say this, but I'm a really big fan of reading philosophy. It's been something.
First I'm hearing it.
Particularly over quarantine, because I've obviously had more time. We got laid off and everything, and but the Taoist stuff I read in particular, and the Buddhist stuff I've been reading, it talks about mindfulness, mindful breath, being in the moment, and really appreciating every single moment, and realizing and trying to appreciate the miracle that's going on around you at the moment. Like our hearts are beating without us thinking about it. Our bodies are like we're talking about bodies, and like our bodies are keeping us alive right now. We have oxygen coming. It's just a bunch of ways I could go with this, but. I just love that focus of kind of bringing it to the here and now, and not thinking, oh man, I need to lose 50 more pounds, blah blah blah, because my doctor says this or whatever.
I need to lose 50 pounds, or then I'll be happy.
Yeah, and then I'll be happy. Right. Like be happy, be happy with where you are now, because I 100% agree with you. I think every single person that you come across, they are an amazing person. They're and your weight, your body fat percentage, what your latest PR on the squat is, like those don't have anything to do with who you are as a person. No. What you bring to your family, what values you bring to the community, and who you are as a person. Like I've met many people that are amazing that were super quote unquote fit based on the definition you see, but I've also met people that are on the other end of the spectrum and are beautiful human beings. So I 100% that resonates with me very deep with justice. Love that.
It's definitely like when you, it's kind of like a running joke among people that do this, but it's also extremely true. We're part trainer, part therapist.
Oh yeah.
We're part therapists.
That's the only reason we're in this business.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
We can
For
do
real.
both of those things.
Yeah, because like it's training one part of it, and then you actually, because it's surprising how I think it's relatively new when you actually realize how much trauma people physically store in their bodies, whether it be
Oh my gosh.
tension in the
yes,
shoulder or literally
yes.
just anywhere in the body. So I lived in Los Angeles for a few years and went to acting school and was going through like voice lessons. I was talking to my voice teacher, where it's like going like people breathe it up into their belly, into their chest, and into their back and whatnot. It's because they have so much tension. She's had people go through breathing exercises, forcing them to breathe through their diaphragm and allowing those muscles to relax, and actually getting those muscles to relax so much that physically just start crying, just start bawling and crying because it's not like
hard.
yeah. So
really
it's like oh, that mind-body connection is it's not like that mind-body. That mind-body connection is everything.
Yeah.
It's not even that mind-body connection because like the nerves are connected to the mind, so it all kind of flows into it. So it's really kind of cool when you see how the body can go with mental state.
It's so true. Yeah, and have you?
It's just been separated. Sorry, they've just been separated in terms of thought process for
Absolutely.
years,
Absolutely.
for as long as I could probably think of. And it's just now starting to be like, wait, no, they're tied in. Yeah, like it's always been a terribly kept secret among fitness professionals, but now I feel like it's starting to get mainstream, which is fantastic.
Which is very good. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you were talking about breathing. That reminded me of. Have you ever done has Phil ever shown you the heart breathing? So it's really interesting. I don't know what your lightest kettlebell is that you have, but basically we did it at his Indian Club certification course, and
He'll put a clip in for the video.
yeah,
He'll put a clip in.
absolutely. It's amazing. But you take a very light
Great
kettlebell,
rendition of Blues Traveler.
like an 8K, nice, like an 8 kilogram or 6 kilogram or whatever bell, and put it in your lower abdomen. Lay down, supine, your feet, your knees bent. Excuse me. I'm a terrible storyteller. But while you do this, you actually have a harmonica, and it's amazing. You lay on your back, you hold the harmonica like in the middle of your hands, so your wrists are nice and neutral, and you breathe with the scales or the notes on the harmonica. So you inhale deeply, belly breathing, exhale. I started tearing up the first time I did it. I was so relaxed. My body was so zenned out. And because that used to be me. I used to be very shoulder breather, very tight upper back and everything. And it got me to relax more. And it's, oh my God, it's so meditative. So if you're ever having like a crazy day, man, get a $5 harmonica from, Amazon or whatever. And it's a game changer. It's amazing.
Or kazoo if you kind of want to chuckle.
Or a kazoo, yeah. I'm sure that, honestly,
That's what I would do.
that would be really fun.
I got one of those funny clown whistles.
Yeah.
Or
that
don't
would
they have
be-
the duck ones? It's
that'd
like
be
a duck bill.
Yeah.
It just,
like they do on the
down
duck boat tours. Yeah,
exactly.
That
Yeah,
would be
I've
good.
got one of
That's
those.
probably what I would do.
So,
No, I have
but
one
I
of
would
those-
laugh so hard I wouldn't be able to take it seriously.
That's the point.
I have one of those
That's the
kids' party favors where it's like,
I'll have
Yeah.
those. Yeah. I have plenty of those.
The inhale would be really tough though.
it hurts. It hurts.
I'm sure.
It hurts a little bit.
It's
But,
a piece of He's looking at me. Get out of here.
it hurts. It does. It tickles. It goes all the way down the esophagus. It feels good.
Oh man. So other than obviously training, doing online training, and it's the queer gym pop up. That's what it's called. Yeah. And other than those, and obviously the documentary that's like you said, kind of supposedly going on. What other projects are you involved with? What other stuff are you doing?
I just had this is the second one we had, Fitness for All Bodies. Basically, it's just bringing coaches into the conversation about race and class and ability and bodies. Really looking at things with a social justice lens, right? But how can we incorporate this within, our education? Because I believe that this should be an element of education that all trainers should have. It just helps us become better people to understand, right? And have access to knowledge, which is power, right?
Mhm.
So in general, just opening up these conversations to everyone. I feel like because we're limited these conversations, and we're not able to connect differently in these ways. It makes us less of a coach. Like, I feel like for me, it's to help people to connect with their bodies, right? And if you don't feel safe in a space that you're supposed to feel safe, and with the person you're supposed to feel safe with, then you're never going to be able to understand that movement. You're never going to be able to feel that movement because you're not in your body, right? You're just being told what to do. And
That
so
comfort.
I feel like this is like an effective way to learn how to build in deeper ways with your client, but in deeper ways with ourselves, right? Through these discussions, we learn more about ourselves than anything else, right? And so Fitness for All Bodies started at Achieve Fitness. We had our first one before the pandemic, and it was really good. It was a panel discussion where we talked about who we're learning these messages from, right? Who are our teachers, right? And in what ways are we learning, and how we are like pushing or projecting these ideas towards a diverse clientele that it doesn't even work with, right? The world is not a cookie cutter model, you know. I think of it like a salad, right? Everything in a salad, you need it. It gives it flavor. It gives it taste. You know, whatever, you know what I mean? And nothing is less than the other. It's like, yo, I just put some daggone nuts on that shit. What? And now it's popping. You know what I mean? Like, it's like everything has its own thing that it brings to that bowl, right?
That's
to
right.
That community. And so
Caramelized pecans? Fuck yeah!
yeah, it's real, man. I just feel like we need to have these discussions, right? And so Fitness for All Bodies had the second one, which was webinar based, and then we're organizing the third because we got really good feedback about the webinar. I was afraid because there's a point where we're learning how to be in our own bodies, because I feel like coaches sometimes are like the worst because we're not in our bodies.
So true.
Well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Quarantine,
so
that's what, yeah.
I feel like being able to be humble, right? And even have something where someone is like cueing you, where you feel inclined to move in that way, even though it's challenging, you know?
Yeah.
So it teaches us how to be and how to cue in the language, right? Because language is a powerful tool, you know? So it had a two-piece. Now the webinar has, you know, presentation based, and then we give everyone like a library of more information or content that they can have, you know, that they can always go back to check out and look at. But yeah, I'm doing that as well with some really dope individuals. Decolonized Fitness, Rooted Resistance. So Decolonized Fitness is Ilya Parker. They identify as he, they, you know. We're both trans men, trans individuals. Rock, they identify as they, you know what I mean? So really, in some sense, we kind of are leading these discussions because in ways our bodies aren't acknowledged within fitness. You know, I had a conversation with Mike Boyle, right? About it wasn't positive. It was about trans bodies, right? And if we all as coaches can't have these conversations about other bodies that don't meet the template, right? Then what are we reinforcing with other trainers, right? So, and this is what I mean by who are we learning from, and what are these ideas that we're molding our trainers with, right? You know, in many ways, as a trans individual, my body is the unknown. It's never seen. You know what I'm saying? And it's never discussed. I'm like, bro, I've been binding for a long time. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like these discussions need to happen because
Yeah.
guess what? These are going to be your clients as well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Everybody's
you
a
know what I
client.
mean? Exactly. And
We're
so
always on.
we should be having these conversations not as a specialty discussion, but acknowledging that these bodies exist, and we as trainers want to work well on all bodies.
Yeah.
Right. So
That's our job.
I asked, and it wasn't really that positive of a response, and then that made me feel like, all right, then maybe I have to take the lead in having these very tough, uncomfortable discussions and pushing people to have these discussions as well, right? It's great to learn. Mike Boyle has taught me a lot about movement practice, but are you teaching me about how we're connecting, right? How are we respecting our clients as well as moving well with our clients, right? So I think that both of these elements are equally important.
Yeah,
Education.
And I've noticed in my years. So like I've never met Mike before, so I'm saying more of a spectrum statement. I've noticed that there is a gray area obviously just with everything, but there are coaches that are really good with programming, really good with the science, really good with the pick this up this way and do this the right way. And they explain it like fantastic, programming pristine, but their people skills are terrible.
Technicians,
Yes.
yeah.
Then there are coaches where their people skills are phenomenal. They had just they come in there having a great time with them, but they kind of lack in the programming department, the science. No, of course, most of the people in our field fall within the middle of the spectrum. Yeah, of course. But I forgot where I was going with that. But still, yeah, that's
Well, they're both
That's
equally important.
Yeah,
but
they're both
I would
equally
argue
important.
the person that maybe on the other end of the spectrum, the latter that you mentioned, is probably more important in terms of inclusivity because that anyone first getting into fitness is going to want to go to them, who makes them feel involved.
They're gonna whoever makes them feel more
and
comfortable.
welcomed. Exactly.
Yeah. Because there are going to be some people that like the ones where it's like, I'm not here for a friend. Just tell me what tell me what I have to do.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
sure.
So some people are going to work better with them. Some people are going to work best here. But it's about kind of like what you were talking about, just feeling good being in that space. Because gyms, it's an odd way to look at it, but gyms are houses of failure. It's one of the few places you actually go to fail. Literally, like if it's a failed gym session if you haven't failed, in lack of a better word.
In some way, right?
Yeah, in some way or another. Not like I've fallen on my face, I've broken most of my face, and I failed.
Don't do that.
Not like that, but like, and it's also a house where people go to work on their insecurities.
Yeah.
So it's one of the most. I can see why it's can be one of the scariest places in the world for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Which is why like Planet Fitness catches a lot of shit for being like the no judgment free zone, or like you can't deadlift, but that is a place where a lot of people go where they have anxiety of going to the big box gyms. So I had a point to this, I swear to God.
Well, you were
That's
getting
okay.
that.
You're getting what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think
I'm sorry, I was going to say it's people like Justice, and I would like to say us, but who were the people that get those other people who are insecure in the door. Obviously they need to know who we are as a person first to be able to.
Or at least we keep them in the door.
Yeah, exactly. They may be timid initially, but like when we may approach somebody for the consultation, and they're like, oh, actually, I can see this being a good, like having good camaraderie. Yeah, now I'm more comfortable with consulting a trainer, and maybe actually continuing at the gym because I 2 or 3 years ago probably I had someone come in who I approached them, I smiled at them, I waved or something like that. They said basically that I was the reason they stayed at the gym.
Oh yeah,
they were literally going to cancel the next day.
Oh yeah.
Literally,
And then they unfortunately couldn't afford the like private training, but they ended up signing up for one of my classes, and I was like, it felt really really good to know that just me being me made them want to stay, and then they finally started to take more classes.
Yeah, you never
I didn't
know,
even
man.
try. It's
That
just
could
kinda,
totally change that, and that changed their life. They came in more consistently, and they were just by default they moved more, so they were going to be healthier. Like screw the weight loss goals, just being healthier and getting
but
getting a
in shape.
return
Like,
on their
what are you talking
investment.
about? What is in shape? Like rounds of shape. Like what's going on? Like we need to be fit.
Yeah,
that's why you have to be
I
feel
think I think what you're saying too, Justice, is definitely like challenging coaches because you obviously we're talking about Mike Boyle, and of course respect to Mike Boyle. I mean he's
a legend,
obviously very knowledgeable, and I've learned a lot from him as well. Not personally, just reading blog posts, articles, and watching videos and stuff. But I think as humans, we're very habitual by nature, right? Like we're very good at building habits. We always talk about that book, Power of Habit, and Atomic Habits. But because our brains, we like to build habits, and the brain wants to be lazy.
Yeah.
And
it makes the world easier to digest when we can automate it.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And as coaches, I feel like we build systems, right? Because systems are the key to anything: business, growth, development, training. Like you have systems, and I think what you're saying is kind of challenging those systems in a good way. It's like, well, so-and-so doesn't fit this mold or whatever. This, like you said, the world's not cookie cutter. What does this journey need to look like for this person? And that's where, again, it's going to sound corny, but that's where it should be personal training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's literally
why it's called that.
Yeah. So
personal, yeah. I say like personal, like, when people like talking, and I also use this when I'm trying to get someone to work with me. Like, it's like personal chef. You know what you're getting with a personal chef. They're coming in there cooking specifically for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets kind of lost in our name, like personal trainer. I am literally your personal trainer.
I work for you.
It's a therapy.
I'm serving you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm serving you.
I'd say I don't work for them, because that I won't say that.
I say with.
Work with.
I say with.
Okay.
Yeah, because has like, so I've actually unfortunately had conversations with people that think I'm their employee, where like I'm not.
Yeah.
You don't sign a contract with your employee.
Mm.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying?
true.
Yeah. So like I like to say.
Because it's more of a
With,
relationship.
yes.
Yeah, I get that.
Like,
I understand.
Yeah.
I just, and
I
I
have so
feel
many
like
thoughts going on in my head right now.
I feel like
I'm
we're
just
saying the
can't even
same
get words
thing,
out.
but I definitely see it as like I'm definitely serving the client in front of me, which obviously is what you said. So definitely.
Now, we don't want to take too much of your time, but we already crammed in a lot, which is awesome. Are there any last remarks you want to make about like anything you haven't touched on yet, I guess?
I think we touched on a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Damn right.
I will say that I'm definitely going to take away from today, I mean everything, don't get me wrong, but specifically next time I have a client who has like a breakthrough on their swings, I'm going to say, to quote Coach Justice, those are some good-ass swings. I'm definitely saying
those are
that.
good-ass swings. That should be a T-shirt one day. Maybe we should make
I was going to say, I feel like a lot of
We'll
quotes
quote you.
today.
Don't worry, we're going to
I'll
quote you.
definitely use those like the nuts in a salad metaphor.
Yeah.
There's some nuts in there. Like, no, look at that. Yeah.
We'll quote you, don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We always cite our work, so MLA format, of course.
Of course.
Oh,
The obviously and whatnot, yeah.
Never look at caramelized pecans the same again.
Yeah, never.
Awesome.
So, we're wrapping up?
Yeah, I think so.
I felt like that was a good moment to wrap up.
All right, so I'm just going to real quick, per usual, mention our 1,000 subscriber challenge. So once we finally reach that number, which we're getting closer, we're going to pick 5 winners, and those 5 winners get a couple things. So you get 5 one-on-one personal training sessions, whether it be in person or virtually. You get 3 months worth of programming depending on your goals and based off of those 5 sessions, just so we can get a feel for what's going on. And then you also get one of these t-shirts. Okay.
Get some swag.
Nice deal if you ask me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we'd like to do at the end of our videos is we'll all on the count of 3 say that bottom phrase right there. Okay. We all have something different, but still. All right. So ready?
Yeah.
3. Messed it up.
3,
2,
2,
1. We'll go. 3, 2, 1. Eat and drink local.
Oh, man.